Welcome to another in the series, the Sip and Chat. Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat. I'm your host, LeLeith Tomlinson. It was Whitney Houston who sang that beautiful song that so many persons utter in moments like these, especially being November or Youth Month. The song that says, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well so that they can lead the way. Show them all that they have inside of them. And we are proud of our Jamaican children because we believe that they have a lot that is bottled up inside of them. And today I want to, not introduce, but to acknowledge on set today, Mr. Odane Brooks. And he is such an accomplished young man. November is Youth Month, and we want to highlight some of the accomplishments of our young people here in Jamaica. And Odane received previously the CARICOM Award, all right, for youth leadership. And then just in April, he received the Prime Minister's Award for youth leadership. And wow, that's a major accomplishment. But before we get into the matter of youths, I just want Odane welcome you officially to the set today.
Thank you again, Dr. Tomlinson, for having me. It's extremely my pleasure to be here.
Thank you so very much. You know, my staff always say, whenever you see the young men, they get excited, but it's for the right reason. I'm always very upbeat when I see young men who are purposeful and determined to accomplish success. You know, everybody loves to say the system is against them, but it's so good. So again, just for some of our viewers who have never seen you on set or probably on some other media, just tell us, who is Odane Brooks?
Thank you for that, Dr. Tomlinson. It is good to be here again. Odane Brooks essentially is a prolific Jamaican young man who continues to aspire for higher, if you could say, office. But ultimately, I'm an individual who is driven by the passion to give back to my country, give back to my community. And it is reflected in my various involvement. I'm very passionate about community development. Mm-hmm. And this is manifested in the various roles that I've taken on to date. So presently, I'm the president for the Leo Club of St. Andrews Central. Okay. So that's an offshoot of the Lions Club. I'm also a director for international relations with Youth Education Association. And as you alluded to earlier, I am the CARICOM Youth Ambassador. So those are just an insight into all of my various involvement. But I believe that what all of this demonstrates is that young people are taking up effective space. We are not just existing, we are contributing substantially to national development, and we are eking out impacts in our own right.
That is so important, Mr. Brooks, because a lot of times people feel hopeless. Wow, the future looks dark, but there are young people who are penetrating spaces and are indeed making impact. So one of the reasons why we're here today is to talk about Youth Month, which I think is very significant. That is this an international designation or?
It is.
Right. So if globally there is a designation of Youth Month being in November, tell us here in Jamaica, and if you want a little bit extended the vision, but what are we supposed? What is this Youth Month here in Jamaica all about? Or is it a cliche?
Well, you could say it's a combination, but effectively Youth Month is celebrated annually in November, and it is an opportunity for young people to amplify the issues important to them, because young people in a modern Jamaica, we face significant challenges, whether it be the scourge of crime and violence, unemployment, underemployment. And effectively what Youth Month does is to spotlight all of those issues and enable youth to connect with individuals within positions of authority to lobby for some of the changes they want to see. I would not say I am fully satisfied that Youth Month have effectively served the potential purpose it can serve, But I am confident that the fact that we recognize the valuable contribution of young people, it enables us to curate conversations. And a lot of revolutions started with conversations.
Exactly, exactly. We know that all too well, right?
Absolutely. So Youth Month gives young people that space and that platforms to talk about the issues important to them.
I'm glad you said that, Odane, because one of the things is that in our upbringing, when we consider ourselves as young people and even going into adolescence, there's still this stigma that we should be seen and not heard. And like you're rightfully saying, there's so much things that young people can offer because we live in a dynamic society. The world is constantly evolving, and there may be something in North America that is relevant or also unfolding here in Jamaica that we need to be aware of. So talk to us about some of the issues that you're hearing from the young people. What are some of the concerns that they have?
So primary among them is employment opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
As a society, we have established that education is the passport out of poverty.
So says Malcolm X.
But for many young people, when we abide by what society ascribes in terms of go to school, get an education, for a lot of young people, when we graduate, the chances of getting employment are not so high. And so what it speaks to is the overall need for us as a society to look at how we can create opportunities for young people.
Mm-hmm.
So employment opportunities and especially suitable job opportunities,
mm-hmm.
because we have to look at whether the skill sets that our young people have, whether those skill sets are being adequately utilized by the jobs that are presently available.
I think that's so important because a lot of times we say evolving is a STEM industry, but yet when we look in the school system, we're not seeing that marked shift towards. We hear it in the speeches, we hear it in the appropriate rooms, but on the ground, we're not seeing that great shift that as we ought to see as it relates to this transformation. And a lot of times, Odane, what I find is that persons will say that there is no hope because the youth of today, they are just very wayward. They just want most of them want to just eat a food and and we have this scamming challenge. But what are you seeing? Are there youths that are accomplishing? Are there young people who are really making strides? You know what I'm saying?
Certainly, there will always be a mixed bag, but I believe that as a society we have normalized negativity, and so negativity always sells. And so the youth that are progressing in communities across Jamaica, they're defying various odds.
Mm-hmm.
Those young people are not necessarily given the spotlight. But from my interactions across the length and breadth of the country, there are young people who are reversing generational curse. There are young people who are progressing and self-actualizing. So what we have to do, and I'm happy we have programs like this where we're able to showcase that things are really happening among progressive young people. And whilst acknowledging that, we also have to double our efforts to save those wayward ones, because ultimately we all coexist in this society called Jamaica.
Excellent. So for this Youth Month, there is a theme, a very big theme. Talk to us about the theme and what's the vision behind it.
So I have the opportunity to also be the chairperson for the Youth Month Advisory Committee, and that is housed under the Ministry of Education. So the theme for this Youth Month is Youth Impact 2024, Innovative Minds, Purposeful Action, Collective Triumphs. So what this theme is pigging on is a recognition that Jamaican young people bring something fundamental to the table.
Right.
We are creating impacts around the world. And so
it's more than athletics, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think we need to, and that's one of the things I think that from a national perspective that we need to do, even in this Youth Month, highlight the contribution of young people, not just in Jamaica, but also globally, because there are a lot of doors that have opened up for young people, and other young people need to know what's happening.
Absolutely. We are pioneers in innovation development. We are pioneers in entrepreneurship. I actually was seen on online social media platform yesterday where a high profile industry leader, he stated that he was in a meeting with business leaders in the Far East. And he noted that in that meeting, when an individual spoke, he immediately recognized that that is a Jamaican.
Wow.
So it demonstrates that we are creating ripple effects around the world. And over time, we have to acknowledge what our Jamaicans are contributing to not only national development, but also global development. Because we are pioneering, and for a Jamaican, once you have ambition, you will move and push every pavement.
Wow. And that is so powerful. I mean, you in your own way, I mean, you're certainly excavating and youths are accomplishing stuff. So we know that we're innovative, and the other segment of the focus is?
So it's looking at purposeful action, because whatever we do, it must be grounded in something fundamental. It must be grounded in something that binds us together as a people. And so purposeful action is calling on young people to become activists in their own rights, to mobilize in their communities. And we are doing this through collective triumphs, because in our pursuit for better, we are going to face challenges, but we have to dig deep within us to pull on that inner strength so we all can win together.
And that is so important, because if young people learn about this collaborative approach to nation building, it's not just me, myself, and I.
Absolutely.
Because you will not live in a utopic Jamaica. Jamaica consists of different segments of people across the spectrum. So we have to speak about the inclusivity.
Oh, yes.
And each man's joy is joy to me.
Oh, yes.
And each man's grief is also my own. So we have to go back to that place. You know, it was my good friend, Dr. Carr, who wrote the book, It Still Takes a Village to Raise a Child. And I think that's something that's very fundamental to even when we think about Jamaica going forward into 2030, that we'll have to get back to that approach where it's the child is the responsibility of the community. So we look at innovation and we look at being purposeful and intentional. What's the other segment?
So the other segment is the collective triumphs. So we all are confronted with numerous challenges as young people. I must admit, as a youth myself, it is not easy growing up in Jamaica. There are negatives coming from all directions. So what this segment of collective triumph is pulling on is for us to recognize that there is an indomitable spirit within us, and it is that spirit of Nanny of the Maroon. It is that spirit of Paul Bogus, Sam Sharp, that we continuously have to re-engineer and to renew, so we are ultimately able to defy whatever odds we are confronted with, and not necessarily succumb to the challenges that we might face, because we are youthful, we are brilliant, and we have something to contribute.
That's so important. It's time for us to step up and step out.
That is it.
No matter how the systems stay, you know, there's still room that young people are penetrating. And you know, one of the things I found out, Odane, and probably the same is your situation, where we've always, as young people, we've always been exposed to hardship, right? I know I have my own story, you have your own story. Speak to us, speak to our audience today, especially young people who are saying, wow, my mother don't have it and my father don't have it, and this just looks like my destiny. You know, I mean, we, as I said, we have our own stories, and we knew the odds that were against us in terms of going to university, in terms of just succeeding, but you have done well, right? So speak to young people today about just putting up resistance.
Absolutely. I want to start by saying I'm a product of struggles. And I can say that it has created the individual that I am today, because whatever I have been able to achieve, it is out of recognition that I have an ability, and I have tapped into that ability to be able to achieve same. So my parents, they would not have benefited from higher education. And so, by virtue of that, they had a very difficult childhood growing up, and they would have seen the challenges they experienced. So, what they did was to ensure that they emphasized the importance of education. So, I would say to young people, what I would say is that challenges abound, but what you have to do, you have to look beyond some of those challenges. You have to identify small shoots of hope and tap into some of those, because ultimately, to self-pity, no one will come and save you. It's sad to say, but that's the reality.
That's the reality.
So we have to be very resilient. We have to be very creative and persevere, because opportunities are out there, I can tell. But we have to align and position ourselves to be able to tap into some of those opportunities. So as a youth, you are creative, you are brilliant. Ensure that you are in the right spaces, you are connected with the right people, because ultimately you have the skills and the capabilities, but you have to surround yourself with the right environment that is able to cultivate and to germinate the seed that you possess.
I find it so important, Odane, like, even as young people who are going to school now, and I know that your involvement as a professional, what are some of the things that we need to be mindful of young people as they think about careers? Because there are some careers that are obsolete, right? And there are some careers that are emerging. So as young people, I know everybody wants them child to be doctor, lawyer, and so on and so forth, but there is a market beyond that. I remember telling my son, I want to be a doctor. My son said, Mommy, I've been telling you to stop watch Grey's Anatomy. Because I guess probably that's all we were all, the doctor, the lawyer. So talk to us about what's emerging and we should be mindful of.
Very valuable question, Dr. Tomlinson. What is happening right now, there is a shift in global labor markets, and we are entering into a period where there is significant discussions about sustainability, about doing things differently. Because in the post-industrialized era, developed countries and underdeveloped countries have not necessarily managed their development process the best way. And so we are now at the point where we're feeling the impact of climate change. And so whatever jobs will become available, it is those jobs that are more sustainable, those jobs that are embracing innovation. So as a youth, you have to position yourself to be able to tap into those jobs. And so it will pull on technical skills where you're able to apply critical thinking. You're able to apply creative thinking, because ultimately we are in a period where it is about problem solving. It is about who is able to come up with an idea to solve a problem. Absolutely. So young people have to look at those opportunities in spaces for innovation, green technology, and also how they can identify lucrative entrepreneurial opportunities to be able to eke out a sustainable and a fulfilling life.
So we're talking about careers that include those in the field of renewable energy.
Oh, yes.
Everybody wants to tell so where somebody have to be able to maintain it, right? Tesla. And then we're talking about things like logistics, right? Because the movement of goods from one nodal point to another nodal point. We're talking about things. One of the things that I think is also very emerging as well is the whole matter of we have everybody's complaining about they have a very aging population.
Yes.
So anything in healthcare, allied healthcare, geriatrics, and those kind of things, I think is also something that young people, and what I like about these emerging careers that they're different end of the spectrum. So if you're more into medicine or you're more into the sciences, just do your thing and do it and do it well. Even construction, a lot of people, nobody not using no shovel and mix no matter nowadays. It's about project management and all those kinds of technicalities. So we felt that was important. Talk to that parent who speaks to their child in a very condescending way, a very negative way. Listen, when I have this, go sit down, and doesn't seem amid all that is happening to inspire hope. What would you say to those parents who they themselves don't see the way out, and so the child has to suffer for it?
I would say to those parents, look beyond the current reality and foresee what the future you want to create for your child. Because for many parents, they are living an experience now where had they been able to control that trajectory, they would have chosen something different. So they have that ability now to change the trajectory of their children. And so I would say to them that encourage your children to dream big, encourage them to think beyond whatever challenges they're experiencing now. And that encouragement might not necessarily come through finances because not all parents are able to afford it.
Right.
But encouragement, a positive word, a word that uplifts your child, a word that enables them to see that something great is within them. That is what a parent can do. And I'm confident that those children will be able to go out into the society and to identify the opportunities that they can tap into.
Wow. I think parenting is so important, and I think it is being treated as such a casual activity these days. Lack of responsibility, the dance, some better than saying, no, my baby,
yes.
I've gone to the dance. And I don't think parents are being held accountable for the management and the nurturing of their children. And that's probably one thing I think it's lacking in this generation, where a lot of the parents, they don't seem to be able to understand that this is a gift that you, and a responsibility, so to speak, that you have been given. And you have to make sacrifices, whatever those are, some of the things that you'd like our parents always tell us, I could have done this and I could have done that, but I gave it all up for you. And,
yes.
And I think that is also very, very important. I want to ask you this question too, because I know that you're a man of faith. What do you think are the roles of social institutions, and in particular the church, in that holistic development of the child?
The church plays a fundamental role because the church has that connection to the individual at the micro level. And as an institution, the church oftentimes understands the dynamics operating in many communities. And so the church as an institution is able to cultivate and to reinforce the right values that are oftentimes being undermined within the society. So as an institution, I would like to see the church even embracing more community activity, take the ministry into communities, take it to the people, because ultimately you don't necessarily just want to talk to the converted, but you want to convert more people.
The unconverted.
Absolutely. So the church has to always look at reinventing how it go about winning souls, and also how it go about reinforcing the values that are important to society.
Well, I think there's hope. I'm always very hopeful. There's a will, there's a way. And I think it's something that we have to do continuously. And I'm very, very proud of you, Odane. When I, just reading your bio, and you can read him up. He's very, very influential. He's just trying to be modest right here, right now. But what are some of the major activities that we can look forward to from where you sit for Youth Month?
So in partnership with the Ministry of Education, there are several activities. So first, there is what is called a Pandikana. So Pandikana is essentially an outreach activity to bring government services to young people. So if it is about training and upskilling, Heart and STA Trust will be going into communities. We also have various youth capacity development seminars, because we recognize that we must continuously empower our young people. We also have the National Youth Parliament that is coming up.
Right.
And the National Youth Parliament is the opportunity for Jamaican young people to go into Garden House and to set out their agenda as to what they want to see,
country, right?
What are the transformation they want to see. So those are just a few of the many activities right across Jamaica.
So it's trying to make the society more visible to the young people, and to bring things to them, as I said, Pandikana, bring things to them where they are. As we're about to wrap up, Odane, just talk to us about why we can't give up. We just can't give up. Can't give up hope in our young people, and we can't give up hope in ourselves, because a lot of times the emotions are translated from parent to child.
Oh, yes.
And so we have that negative energy flowing. But I mean, I've always believed that there is hope, regardless of what we see, because there are people like you and there are other persons who are working to ensure that young people blossom and indeed bring forth good fruit in their season.
Well, we can't give up because for many of us, Jamaica is home. We don't have various visas to be able to just fly out tomorrow. So it ultimately is, what is the society we all want to live in? And if we are going to create that society, we must have the resolve to be able to partake in saving this society. So I would say to all Jamaicans, you have a role to play. Your role might not be at the national level. It can just be protecting a child. So never discount the role that you can play. And ultimately, your role will add together to be able to create the Jamaica where we can all live, work, raise family, and do business.
Right. So the 2030 vision is still alive and well. And we just want to say to all the young people who are watching today and to the parents out there, right during this period, the month of November, just look within. See how you're impacting a child. Maybe you don't have one of your own, and if you do, you can look, speak to your child.
Oh, yes.
How have I impacted you? How do you view me? And what can I do to make your life better? You know what I'm saying? And trust me, the kids know when you can't do no more, Yeah, but sometimes the kids will look at you and they say, Mommy, tell me you don't have my lunch, and they say, Mommy, it's okay. And no. So don't underestimate how they're processing. They understand what's going on. And so today we want to close just like how we started, to remind you that the children are indeed the future, and we have to teach them well and let them lead the way. Odane, it was a pleasure. Any closing words?
Always. I just want to say to our Jamaican young people, Happy Youth Month, and continue to be the pioneering change makers that you are.
Thank you so very much. Until next time, we'll continue to sip and chat.